Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our BNI San Diego podcast. I am beyond excited. I actually, if you can tell by the person next to me, this is one of my heroes in BNI. This is a lady who's become a phenomenal friend, a mentor, a colleague, and like I said, she's my hero. This is the executive director, Shirley Town, and Shirley Town is the executive director of South Carolina Midlands. Hello, Shirley, and welcome to the show.
Well, hello, Ed. It's so funny because everything you just said, I feel the exact same way about you. From the moment I met you, I just knew you were good people.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
for those of you who have heard, for if whether you're listening in San Diego or in another part of the country around the world, Shirley has also broken a record in the United States. Shirley actually has the largest BNI chapter currently in the United States. How many, and what's the chapter name and how many
Okay.
are they currently?
It's Referral Resource Group. It's really funny. The name, a secretary named the name. Nobody could come up with a name, and somebody's secretary named it. So they've had that name now. They're going on 16 years. It's a chapter of 157.
So 157, and it's got to be an amazing thing to watch.
I tell my husband all the time when I come home on Thursdays, I feel like I literally throw a wedding every Thursday. Like it's a production. It is a production, just making sure we do food in our chapter. So just getting 157 people fed. And then they normally have about 5 visitors. So it's a party every Thursday, no doubt.
Wow, I can only imagine.
Yep, for sure.
Well, that's going to lead right into our conversation for today, which I'm excited about because we're going to talk about something that you created a few years ago. As with BNI, one of our key core value, our cornerstone core value is givers gain. So our topic for today goes right into that core value.
It
And
does.
what is our topic today? Sure.
Our topic today is Friendsgiving, and ironically is started in that chapter of 157. It probably had about 50 or 60 in it at the time, but we started a Thanksgiving tradition where the Thursday before Thanksgiving, we would always go around the room and talk about what we were being thankful for. And so it started that simple. And then, like many years later, I guess 4 years ago, I was like, why don't we make it a huge Friendsgiving thing? And why wouldn't we do this across the region? And so Friendsgiving has many components to it, really about 6 components to it now. And it is everybody's favorite meeting.
That's awesome. So
Yeah,
let's dive right into the
sure.
topic of Friendsgiving and how it works and what a great way, again, we talked about the core value of givers gain, but it also lends right into our seventh core value of recognition.
It really does. So, what I'll do, if it's okay with you, is just kind of talk about these 6 elements of Friendsgiving. And then we have a toolkit that has everything in it that you should need.
Okay,
Um,
terrific.
and so, like, it's literally what I like to say Friendsgiving is it's an open business day wrapped in a big Thanksgiving hug.
Ooh. And an open
And
business day for people that are not aware of our BNI language is a visitor's day,
correct.
right?
It is a visitor's day, but it is literally a Friendsgiving day where you invite your friends and viable visitors to come to BNI. And I'm going to share this with you. It wasn't necessarily created for this, but I will tell you that it is our highest closing ratio of any meeting all year long. So what we have found is if we get visitors in the room, they become members
Oh,
because
wow.
this meeting blows them out of the water. So
And
yeah,
you're focusing what I know that, and you'll kind of get into the specifics,
yes.
but I know that you are one of the catalysts for nonprofits in BNI chapters. Eh,
Yeah, I was a member, not an executive director, not an area director, nobody. I was a member when I heard a podcast from Ivan talk about nonprofits, and I was like, I've never thought about having a nonprofit in our region. never even thought about it in our chapter, I should say. And he even said, you could have more than one nonprofit if their focus was very different. And that really caught my attention as well. But yeah, I didn't even know that BNI nonprofits existed. And so after that podcast, I invited a few, and we got one in the room. That chapter of 157, they have 4 nonprofits and one animal rescue. Yeah, animal rescue in the room. So animal rescue technically is a separate classification than nonprofit. But yeah, they both come from the same kind of background.
So, and I don't want to get us off track. So I'm looking forward to with the topic of nonprofits. I'm looking forward to having you on again.
Okay.
We're specifically talking about nonprofits and how they can benefit from BNI. But going back to Friendsgiving, one of the if I remember correctly, if you're sharing this with me, one of the benefits of Friendsgiving is you're able to bring nonprofits into Friendsgiving, and nonprofits can really gain visibility and all kinds of wonderful things from
100%. So we always right around this time, like right now, first week of October, we say, if you don't have a nonprofit in your room, you should get one before Friendsgiving, because on Friendsgiving, the nonprofit gives their presentation, 5 to 8 minutes, about what they're thankful for and what they could really need from BNI. And Ed, last year was my favorite year. I saw so many nonprofits blessed during Friendsgiving. We had a visitor donate $1,000 to a nonprofit.
Oh, wait, you had a visitor, someone who'd never been to BNI before,
and never joined. They never joined.
Oh, wow.
He was a pharmaceutical sales rep, and he said they invited me more just as a guest, and I came, and I was blown away by what you're doing here today. And he said, your choice, give it to one nonprofit or divide it up into 10.
Wow.
And do $100. And he literally handed me $1,000.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was so much fun. And that was never my vision, but as we saw that the different Friendsgivings lay out that year, we found that visitors were donating money to our nonprofit. So it was really fun.
That's fantastic. Well, let's get into the thick of it and talk about and share with our listeners, what Friendsgiving is and how it works.
Okay. So there are 6 elements of Friendsgiving. And I will tell you that these 6 have evolved. You don't have to do every single element of Friendsgiving to make it a good time. But it is a very amazing experience if you do all 6. So the very first one is we have these certificates that say, I am thankful for, and you put the member's name and what you're thankful for about them. And those certificates are handed out at the meeting, but you'll stand up during your weekly presentation and you'll say who you're grateful for. And BNI, it can be for a specific referral or just a relationship. And I think that's what really impacts our visitors, is they hear what everybody is so BNI thankful for. We print these certificates out. The first year we just sent it out to folks, and we saw some black and white ones. I went into an attorney's office and he had a black and white one framed on his wall, and it didn't look good. And I thought, oh gosh, we've got to do these in color. So we do these in color now, and I will tell you, they make it on a lot of walls around BNI offices. People are very proud of them. I have a few that I've saved over the years. So you fill out the certificate, what you're BNI thankful for. The second one is, and again, this might be something that you don't adopt in your region based on what your venue situation is, but we do a BNI potluck, and it does give it a huge family feel. So we have honey baked hams in BNI, so we will supply ham and turkey. The chapter will order that from honey baked ham, and then all the side items and the desserts. Everybody signs up for. So we have a BNI Friendsgiving sign up sheet where you sign up for what you want. And then we have another sheet where our caterers will put out things that they will do if you're a bad cook. And so, yeah, there's only so many paper products that can be bought. So we do that. So everybody will have a recipe card at their menu item, and it will say what it is and who made it. And then we will pass around that sign up sheet where everybody signed up. And when they stand up to give their weekly presentation, the first thing they do is say their favorite BNI food item. And so at the end, you know how you normally give a golden mic away for
Yep.
maybe the best presentation? We give away an award for the most mentioned side item or dessert. And so people get super competitive about it, and it's kind of a lot of fun. So anyway, that is a food element. Again, you could do it without it. A lot of people say, what do you do for breakfast chapters? We do like a holiday breakfast, like what you would do for a Christmas breakfast. Like that's kind of what we do. It's a brunch. So yeah, that can be kind of fun. And then the giver's gain portion. This is a really fun part. This is where your nonprofit will present for about 5 to 8 minutes. We pass around a pilgrim hat or a pumpkin for cash donations. A QR code is also supplied for the nonprofit, and it passes around. And then we will actually have a basket of cross-chapter QR codes for other nonprofits. If your chapter doesn't have a nonprofit in it, you can donate cross-chapter, which has been wildly successful. Yeah, a lot of our nonprofits will get some really neat donations in case you have a chapter that doesn't have one. This is a neat thing that we do. We always offer for the chapter to do a themed gift basket that will be bid on the day after Thanksgiving. So everybody's out there doing their shopping. We'll start bidding on that Friday and close it Sunday at 5. But members will donate items to a themed basket. So we had one that was brunch around the Midlands, and there were nothing but a bunch of brunch items in there. We had a grill basket where people got gift certificates to the butcher or grill spices. Really amazing baskets, and in our closed Facebook group, they'll do bidding on those. A chapter that has it together will have that basket at Friendsgiving for people to look at it. And we actually lay out a sheet and people can bid on it right there, and that will start our online bidding. That's become a huge part of it. Those baskets went anywhere from $500 up to $1,500.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's so simple because all we do is post a picture, contents of the basket. The nonprofit keeps the basket. They deliver it to the person with the biggest, offer or whatever, winning bid, I should say. And they collect the money right there. So as a region, I don't even touch it. All I do is post it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So simple. But it's just another way that we love on our nonprofits. We do that at Mother's Day and Father's Day as well. And then the sixth part of it is the part that you can't forget about. It is a visitor's day or an open business day wrapped in a big Thanksgiving hug. We do ask our members to invite 5 viable visitors to come have Thanksgiving with us. Gather around our table. We decorate a little bit for it on the tables. You literally feel like you're coming to Thanksgiving at your family's house, and that's how it feels. You would not believe how our chapter members go out of their way to make this a special occasion. But you'll find, like I said, it is a visitor's day. So don't miss that piece of it, because if you invite and they come, they will join.
And I love that, right? Because they're getting to see that what we're doing is even more than just business.
100%.
We're connecting with people. And when they go around the room and they're giving the certificates, this is like, thank you for helping me stay in business. This is thank you for, oh my goodness. What are some of those things that you've seen people when it comes to that portion that you've seen people it just like blew you away?
I'm going to try not to cry, but we actually had a member look up who sponsored their favorite person in BNI because it became their best friend. And she said, I want to thank this member for sponsoring this member who is now my best friend.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. And then we had another one. This one said, it's not all about business. She had a son that was going through some horrible addiction problems, and somebody in the chapter found out about it and hooked her up with a facility. And her husband is, or her child is now drug free because of that relationship with BNI. So that was another
Wow.
one. That's another one that was really touching. And then you'll hear people say, if it wasn't for BNI, during COVID, I would have gone out of business. We had several restaurants definitely share that over the years. But all different ones. People will stand up and say, I'm thankful for my biggest referral partner who has passed X amount of business to me this past year. They're all over the place. So many of them are relational. So many of them are dollar amounts for referrals that they have received. I mean, we like people to be specific. And so this is one thing that we've gotten really strict about is we literally will say to our members, you have to name somebody specific. Because what you don't want is a bunch of people standing up and say, I'm thankful for all y'all. Like
Yeah,
that just doesn't do it.
yeah.
Like specific is terrific for sure
Yeah.
in this case. Yeah.
Well, and that's where the recognition comes in, right? Because we're recognizing a fellow BNI member, someone who's impacted my business, my life, my whatever over this past year.
Yes, 100%. And yeah, the past year, even their whole BNI experience, you'll get some of both of those. But really what we hear is thank you for the relationships.
Yeah.
Like it's really not that often that somebody says they give a dollar amount. Those are fun too, though, because it's good to see that. It's just a huge mix. So just a whole bag of thankfulness and gratefulness for the people in the room. It is my favorite time of year. And I will tell you that we actually schedule these on a November calendar, and I try my hardest to make every single one of them. The international conference is falling in the middle of November, and it's killing me. But that's how committed I am. I literally almost didn't go to conference because I wanted to be here. But I do have a team, and they can be there. But it's the best meeting of the year, no doubt.
Well, and again, going back to our core values of givers gain and then recognition, being able to recognize, this is probably, and I would probably be safe to say that in most people's lives, they're not specifically being called out for a thank you in their normal day-to-day life.
Well, that's what I learned when I went to that lawyer's office. I was like, you framed that black and white piece of paper, you framed it. And he was like, that thank you right there is the most meaningful thing that I've ever received in all my years of business. And it was they were thankful for how he handled a case that literally changed their life. And it was a really difficult case. And he got the best outcome that family could have gotten. And it was life-changing for the family, but it was life-changing for that attorney. And so to be thanked for that and to have something written, like he says, I get thanks all the time. But the fact that somebody wrote my name out and presented this to me, he said it was meaningful to me.
Well, and not just presented it to the, like, it's if I was going to your office and I was giving this to you and I showed one thing, you're doing it in front of 20, 30, 40, 50, 157 other people in the room.
Yeah.
That recognition just explodes with all of that. Oh my goodness.
It's recognition, but when you just said it like you said it, I think one of the things that really comes out of it is it also gives visibility and credibility. I 100% believe that. To hear what people mean to each other in such a deep way, like it really does give people a lot of credibility for sure.
Well, and that goes back to what you said. This is, that element of visitor day / open business day when you've got new people in the room that are seeing all of this going on. No wonder their closing ratio, so to speak, is so high, because who wouldn't want to be a part of this chapter?
100%. And like you said something about, over the last year, it's really over all the years. And it's like, it's so amazing. You think about this one chapter being 16 years old. I mean, that's a lot of relationships in that room. A
Oh my
lot of
gosh.
relationships. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and I
So,
shouldn't even say relationships. I should say friendships.
so
I
with
mean,
chapters with regions, I know that we're working on implementing it here in San Diego.
yeah.
You know, so that it's not overwhelming for someone when they're starting, because I know that
Mhm.
anytime we start something new, if we try to do it and what's the word? Um, if we try to do it exactly like you're trying to do it,
Right.
yours took several years to get to where it is now. So,
Absolutely. And I'll hear people say, but we don't do food or we don't do this. I'm like, listen, you get to make this yours. I'm giving you the elements of what we do, but we're on year 5.
yeah.
Like this is our 5th year and every year it gets better. I have people in August going, are we doing Friendsgiving? Like they start talking about it now. Um, it isn't that they have to do it, it's that they get to do it. They love it. But you're exactly right. You got to take the elements that you can execute. The certificates, printing them in color, I would really, really try to do that. I always say handwriting looks better with a Sharpie. Bad handwriting looks good with a Sharpie. So the certificates that's the most important part. The
Okay.
second most important part is the nonprofit. Is the nonprofit presenting, or if you don't have a nonprofit in the room, it's inviting all the nonprofits, in the room. So it's hopefully you could get one before then, but if you can't, invite them to be there. If they are there, I would not donate to them, but it's the chapter's choice. I would pass the basket around with all the QR codes from all the other nonprofits, because what that will do is that will allow them to go through the basket and see the other nonprofits.
Ah,
And it's a little bit of FOMO going on there. And I don't know about you, Ed, but I don't ever promote giving to somebody to get them in the chapter.
right,
I'm like,
absolutely.
you come in the chapter and then we will feed you too.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely something to do. And a lot of our chapters say, hey, you know, a lot of chapters did these baskets for Friendsgiving, but if you join, we'll do a basket for you for Christmas. So that's another time when we do the baskets for our nonprofits. Is Christmas. People will buy amazing baskets.
Terrific.
Yeah.
So this is great. I'm really excited because, again, for a lot of us, Thanksgiving is one of our favorite times of the year. It's an opportunity to gather as a family around the table, and for BNI, this is the same thing. These people, some of which have been there for 5, 10, 20, 30 years in a chapter, this is family. So to be able to break bread with one another, whether it's figuratively or physically breaking bread,
Right. Correct.
and to be able to give that recognition is so incredibly powerful. I understand why, the element of camaraderie that it builds. I mean, there's so many wonderful elements that can come into play. And again, don't worry about doing it perfect, right?
Right.
It's going to take
No.
time. It's going to take years of developing, but
Right.
just get started. Just getting started. That's the key thing. And luckily, because of Shirley, Shirley is actually giving us those tools to be able
Yes.
to go ahead and get this started. So I'm really excited to be able to have those. And thank you for very graciously sharing all of your
100%.
things with us. So thank you for that.
And every year we add a few more tools. So part of it is explaining what Friendsgiving is. So you'll get some graphics that do that. Then you'll get some graphics like where you print out where they can sign up if they are doing food. And then you'll get the thankful for certificate, which is really, really cute. But you'll get all that. Yeah. So yeah, it's super, super amazing. And it's a Google Drive, and I will add to it. I'm going to take pictures of some Facebook posts that I make to our regional page, explaining some of the elements and just getting people fired up along the way. But yeah, you get to choose what part you want to do. If you don't do anything but one part, do the certificates,
So
followed by the nonprofit, and then food would be third, And then, the rest of it just kind of all falls in.
No, I love that. And thank you for that, for those key things, right? Obviously the
Yeah.
certificate is the big one, that recognition. Now, when they do that, do they actually give it to the person that they're thanking?
Yeah. So depending on the chapter size, we do it different ways. So over the years, what we have got, we actually take sticky notes and put a member's name and we attach it to each of the certificates. We pass them around during the meeting. We take them up during the meeting 2 to 3 weeks before. And so we put them in alphabetical order the day of the meeting. They'll pick them up and they'll have them. If you give them to them and they take home, they'll end up on the floorboard of their cars. But you should pass them out in advance. And so we'll make a social media post saying, hey, remember this week you're going to be filling out your certificate. Then we take them up. The next week we give them out to the people that weren't there. And by the third week, we should be good to go.
Terrific.
It takes a little bit of management when it comes to the certificates. But it's worth doing it in advance, as opposed, we've done it to where we just pass them out and have Sharpies on the table the day of. That's when they don't all get done and it's kind of sloppy.
No, and you want it to be a presentation, right? You want this is not haphazardly, oh, we just thought of it and we're gonna do it tomorrow at our meeting. We just thought of it today.
Right.
It's really about the presentation. And again, like we talk about, in BNI, a lot of our elements are for the visitors in the room.
Right.
And we want to make sure that we are doing it in a way that is just wowing our visitors, our members, giving thanks for different areas. I'm excited. I can't wait till we start implementing it here. And for a region or a chapter or a group that is going to start doing this, obviously you didn't do this as an entire region. It started with a chapter.
It did start with a chapter. And then, and literally it started, like you were saying, the day before, hey, why don't we just say what we're BNI thankful for or whatever, or what we're thankful for. It wasn't BNI related at first. And people would stand up and say, I'm thankful for my family. And so like it was anything. Then I literally woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning one morning after having Friendsgiving with my friends. And I thought, why don't we do BNI Friendsgiving? And it literally came to me and I started putting the elements together. It got more intentional that year with doing the potluck. And then the next year it was bringing the nonprofit in. And now little tiny elements have come around that. But those are the three major ones.
Okay.
But first 3 years, it was just that one chapter. And I think another chapter picked up on it and they started doing it. And then when I had the Friendsgiving idea, we rolled it out across the region. Not everybody was into it the first year. Second year, we actually assigned the dates because if you have hybrid chapters, which we do, they have to be the first week in November. So like we roll those out, and that's why we really announced those the first week in October, to give them 4 weeks to prepare for that. So, we have a whole week of just that, and then the online chapters are, whenever, and then, typically we don't have any the week of Thanksgiving.
Got it. Yeah.
It's a low attendance week.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you said that though, because it made me think of something that is so important. I need to make an announcement about this. If you are the week before Thanksgiving and then you're off for Thanksgiving, don't lose your momentum. So like you have your meetings Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Thursday, whatever, you gotta follow up then. And then, it would be okay for you to follow up to the Monday and Tuesday before Thanksgiving. We have found Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of Thanksgiving, people are checked out. Follow up doesn't happen. It's almost rude to follow up around that time. It seems kind of awkward.
People are traveling.
Yeah. So, but be intentional about follow up if you are that last week. The last week before Thanksgiving is the most popular week for Friendsgiving. But you got to follow up with people, or you'll lose that with them. We try really hard to get an application on the day of the meeting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
We do, because if you don't, they're gonna be worried about their own turkey dinner.
Yep.
So you gotta get it right then.
Well, Shirley, I truly appreciate you joining me today, talking about Friendsgiving. We're coming into the holidays. It's a perfect time for recognition, a perfect time to be able to show up and give not only to our BNI members, our fellow members, but our nonprofits, inviting people in to meet our families, so to speak. So I'm really excited. Thank you for joining us today.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate you helping me get the word out. Um, it's really important to me, and I think it's something that will really be very impactful to our BNI regions.
Well, and with that, one of the things that I like to do with all of our guests is if you were to give a final thought, like if you were to, one final thought to leave our audience with regarding Friendsgiving, what would that be?
Our main philosophy in BNI is givers gain. And you are missing out on what I call a huge community builder if you don't have a nonprofit in your room. I think we were built to give. And I will tell you that when you get a nonprofit in the room and everybody gathers around and really breathes into the nonprofit, it'll build the community of your chapter. And you know how I feel about BNI in general, changing family trees, but you can change the lives of a lot of people by really blessing a nonprofit that has an amazing mission.
I love that. Thank you, Shirley. And you just said something that over the past year I've given you tribute to every time. And the phrase that you use, and I always tell people where it comes from, is the Shirley Town phrase of, we get to impact people's family trees.
We do. I literally just got chill bumps thinking about it. I mean, we have a nonprofit in BNI, Make-A-Wish of South Carolina, and we, Make-A-Wish will grant wishes to children with struggling, just illnesses. They're critical illnesses. They're not all life-ending illnesses. They're all over the board, but they're illnesses that change a family's perspective. And I love when I see our members come together to grant wishes to these families that need it so bad, and the impact that we have on these families. I know without a doubt that we change the trajectory of where that family's mindset is when we give them an opportunity to put that on a shelf and enjoy life. There's nothing that's more amazing than that. Wow. And, and then this is totally different than that kind of nonprofit, but our animal rescues we once had 6 dogs brought to a BNI meeting, and all 6 dogs left with lifelong families.
Oh my goodness. They're forever home.
They're forever homes. We made a joke that if you adopted a dog, you get marked present, you get to go home. Like, we can't have the dog in the venue. So, you don't have to go home, but you have to leave here. And all 6 of them got adopted. And I'm like, is this because they were trying to get out of the meeting? But no, not the case. I hear from those families with those dogs all the time, and it's crazy fun to see that kind of thing. But we in our region have only scratched the surface of the impact that we can make in our BNI members' lives, but in our community. But I'm telling you, there's nothing better than having a good nonprofit in a chapter.
You just teed it up for our next podcast when you and I come back together to talk about nonprofits and the benefits of nonprofits in chapters. Again, Shirley, thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic holiday season, and I look forward to sharing with you how our Friendsgivings went here in San Diego.
I can't wait. All right. Happy Turkey Day to all of you.
Thank you.
All right.
And everyone, we look forward to seeing you back with us next week for another amazing guest to our BNI San Diego podcast. Have a great rest of your week.
This episode of the BNI San Diego podcast has been brought to you by Cruise Productions, a San Diego-based video production company and proud BNI member. You can find us at the intersection where business and creativity meet, or online at cruiseproductionsinc.com.